Welcome to the weekly outlook in the DeFi Dojo. I am Groot, aka Rob, and I am going to tell you what I'm seeing in the charts, in the markets, and what we might expect this week. Coming up, I am invested back into crypto. I don't know if you've been following, but I did sell on this bearish weekly cross, hoping for a little lower, and I didn't get it. So now I had to buy back a little bit higher, not too much. About 10% I would say was missed, so I'm not crying about it, especially when I was able to take those profits from these way down here lows, and I'm not fully in yet at all either. I'm waiting for a little bit more confirmation, but things are definitely pointing up. If you wait till the end of this call, you're going to get my favorite long-term stock pick if you want to finish the video and hear about that at today's time. I think that we're going to keep going higher. I do with crypto. There's a lot of things showing me that this is going to finally try to break out. We've had this consolidation for 6 months now, and we still haven't been able to fall lower than the 786 on this full reversal pattern, and that's a good sign. This is what I call the greed FOMO zone, and every time it dips down into it, people are buying it up. So our weekly EMAs are now bullish again. I've bought back into several things, and I've posted what I'm in the charts channels. And by the way, if you want to know more about that, you can join the Discord. Link is in the description, and come hang out with us. But we're going to keep our eyes on the prize, and I think that this is where we could see Bitcoin going over the next 6 months. And I think that could start as soon as now. I think we could start making our way up there, but I'm not going to add any more personally until we break this downtrend. Because there's still the potential, if we look at total crypto market cap, like it's not actually crossed bullish yet on total market cap. So it did close the last 3 weeks over the 8 EMA, and that's a great start. But we're either going to get one of two scenarios. We're either going to finally break this and then get like some sort of retest potentially, maybe not. Maybe it just keeps going because it's been such a long consolidation. So as soon as I see a weekly close up over this downtrend, I'm going like all in, right? And then if we don't, and we can just keep falling down, then maybe we get this green zone that I've been waiting for as well. And then that's where I'm going to, go in heavily. So I don't want to go too crazy too quick because we're really just still trading in a range, right? Like why go nuts in a 6-month range? It just doesn't make sense. So I have speculatedly gone back in. And I'm hoping that, this time is different and we're going to finally break. If not, I'm prepared to buy a lot lower. If we look at total 3, this has broken its downtrend. So altcoins have the ability to start alt season now, which, we've been talking about that for I don't know how long, and everyone's been saying like, oh, where's alt season? As soon as Bitcoin dominance, which is currently not able to get over its main 50% level from these highs to its all-time low, if this does start rejecting here, which it should technically speaking, we could see alt season start, which means Bitcoin would kind of just steadily creep higher, maybe sideways, while altcoins are doing better. And so far, I think we've kind of seen that over the last few weeks. If we look at total 3 divided by Bitcoin, we've had, it's not amazing, but we've had a steady increase, since August of this, going up, coming down, but it's still making higher highs and higher lows. And as long as we get over this 0.5 level here and reclaim that, then this whole situation down here becomes an invalidation, and we can have a lot more confidence in altcoins. But it's still rejecting that S1.5 level at 7.942 million. I have an alert set up here, and it pinged me last week and the week before, but it ultimately keeps, closing under. And so I'm going to set another alert, and I'm going to, if it hits it again, I want to see if we get a close over that spot. And once we do, then we can be really confident, I think, in altcoins. But for now, I'm still just kind of dabbling in a little bit here and there on dips. And Solana is the big one. I think Solana can be huge. I'm happy that I'm in it on this time around. I didn't really have any before, and I felt like I always missed the move, right? Like it went from $8 to $200. That's crazy. But it's been consolidating in the greed FOMO zone as well for a really long time. And if we look at the daily here, this current setup, at least short term, looks really great. I mean, if you long this, I think we're going to at least see, 151, possibly 160 again here shortly. We have these EMAs curling very nicely, bullishly, on top of the pivot support. So, I mean, we could, take this up as high as the 174 mark, back to the top of that greed FOMO zone at the 886. And then as soon as we break this, either above or below, we can take a longer term action on it. But for now, we broke the minor downtrend, retested, coming back up. I think we can easily see these levels again up here in the higher, to mid 170s. If we look at Ethereum, kind of the opposite situation. It looks like crap. Like, this is still bearish on the weekly. We closed back under it on the EMA here after trying to get above. It will not fill this gap. Similarly, it would not fill this gap either. So there's still a gap way down here, which is concerning. This gap up here does not want to even be entered into. So at least until we can at least get back up over the 8 EMA on the daily and show that this 2400 support is going to hold, it's a little risky. MACD and RSI are still, in bearish territories. It's not far from being bullish again on the daily, but, buy at these lows, sell at these highs, and just trade that range until it shows us it wants to break might be a good idea. But we still have that danger of potentially coming back down to this trend line with Ethereum. So that's where, it's risky, right? Like, that's back down to 2,000 potentially, and that's a hefty 20% decrease from the current location, which, nobody wants to hold through a 20% decrease. That's no fun. So best bet is to just wait for this to get back up over the EMAs and then try on a retest and see if we can at least get back up into this gap. Spot chart kind of showing the same thing. It wants to test the downtrend here twice now, but it gets bought up pretty nicely every time it does. So maybe we can get up over the 2,500 mark, then cool. All right, let's try to long some ETH again. Until then, it's resistance, and we can keep getting rejected and tapping those lows. If we see USDT dominance, you can see it's kind of similar to the opposite of what we just saw with Sol. It's curling those EMAs downward underneath the daily pivot. So as long as we stay under 5.73% on USDT dominance, then Bitcoin and crypto can continue higher, right? So just keep an eye on that mark. You can put it a little alert, like right around there if you want. And then if it taps it, you can be like, oh shit, let me go see what's going on. This might not be good. But in the meantime, I think we can just sit on kind of cruise control. This looks like head and shoulders kind of pattern going on here. We have a lower high, lower low, lower high. Let's go see another lower low and push crypto higher. I mean, that's what I think we're going to get. So everything's kind of showing me crypto is going to continue higher this week, and let's see what we get. If we look at equities, the dollar finally got that bounce, right? And so this could cause problems with equities, but so far it hasn't. And as long as it stays in this range, markets like that. Markets like a stable, range to trade in. And it's not until you start seeing things like this that markets don't like it, right? Or like this, markets don't like that either. So when we stay something like this, then things are nice and we're riding smooth. And so equities are still kind of just barely trickling up here over the last couple weeks. If we look at the S&P, we've just been hovering above the 8 EMA, still haven't actually touched that main 1.618 mark that I've been waiting for. I think once we touch that mark, we could potentially see a pretty large or significant fall. And so a lot of people will say that, October's before elections typically get negative markets, but then in crypto, it's the opposite, right? Usually October's pretty good for crypto, historically speaking. If you trade based on historic months, you're probably not going to do well. I mean, last September, everybody was saying, oh, September's a bad month for equities, and it went higher. So that's not a really good recipe for trading. You should have some better setup technicals and tools and a plan when you're trading. The NASDAQ still getting hung up on the 1.414. It got over it previously for a little while and then fell pretty hard. So that it seems to be like this is the NASDAQ's main resistance that it needs to break. So until we get over that 20,365 mark and at least get like a daily candle over it, we could head lower. But the EMAs are bullish. Kind of, I don't know what this line's even doing here. Oh, that's my weekly trend line. That's what that is. Actually, it's not even doing anything. Why is that line there? Oh, sorry about that. It might have been this one here, but either way, ooh, Either way, until we clear that mark, we could fall lower. And so if we compare Bitcoin to the NASDAQ, this is kind of where we're keeping our eyes on the price up here. You can see this is, the top of the markets here. This is the bottom of the markets here. And we're somewhere right in between, kind of on our way up to those levels. And so if we just kind of keep our eyes on the prize with this, then maybe we can see Bitcoin finally break the trend line against the NASDAQ and start heading up to these extreme highs up here where we'll eventually start taking profits. I think that pretty much covers everything. I wanted to go over Albemarle Corporation. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Ticker is ALB. This is my favorite long-term setup right now. You can see that we have bullish divergence where the RSI and MACD are trending higher while the price is trending lower. And we got this really nice 0.786 bounce, right? This is everything I love to see on a macro chart. We're on the weekly here, and I think that we could at least get this back up to at least hitting the downtrend, if not, breaking it and heading for new highs. When it starts cooking, you can see what it can do. I mean, we went from $50 to a high of 334 here. When it starts cooking, we went from 42 to 141 here. So we can see significant upside with this stock over the longer term, and I think that it could do really well moving forward. If we take the opposite here and do this downtrend, which would be from this high to this low, this is a great example of a distribution, a Wyckoff distribution at a 1.618, and why we take profits in the 1.272 to the 1.618 range. Now, it is in here for a really long time, right? So if you took profits at the 1.618 the first time and then just didn't touch it again, you saved yourself months of just stagnant sideways price action. Now, sure, could you have done well buying that low and selling that high? Yeah, but that's very difficult in a Wyckoff range like this. Your best bet is to just find that reversal pattern like we're seeing here, and then take this up to where we could potentially take profits. And let's just assume that is a bottom based on our technicals. Then we could see potentially as high as the 786, 886 back to the 280 marks. And if you follow me for any longer periods of time, you know what happens if we can break through those levels. But let's start baby steps first. Let's break the downtrend. We'll take profits in the golden pocket, so on and so forth. All right, so we will conclude with taking questions and or chart requests. Go ahead and put those in the chat, or go ahead and hop on voice and ask me if you'd like.